God is aligning you with a younger partner. The reason will touch you deeply. Sometimes, God sends someone younger, not to make you question yourself, but to make you remember who you are, youthful, alive, and capable of love again. When we talk about divine timing, we often think God will send us someone who looks exactly like what we imagined. Same age, same stage, same story. But God's plans rarely follow human logic. His alignments are based not on numbers, but on souls. He looks at your energy, not your age. He sees your heart, not your wrinkles. He knows your soul's maturity, not your body's calendar. And sometimes, to awaken the sleeping beauty within you, He sends someone younger, someone full of life, curiosity, and fire, to remind you that love is not about age, it's about aliveness. 1. Because you needed to remember your youthful spirit. Somewhere along life's path, you stopped dancing with joy. You began living responsibly, but not passionately. You gave love, but forgot how to receive it. You worked hard, but stopped feeling alive inside. And so God whispered to the universe, "Send them someone who carries the fire they once had, not to replace their wisdom, but to reignite their spirit." This younger person comes like a sunrise, unexpected, radiant, sometimes confusing. They laugh freely, they dream boldly, they challenge your comfort zones. And suddenly, your soul remembers something, how it feels to feel alive again. This is not about romance alone. It's about awakening. It's about remembering the parts of yourself you left behind. The playful heart, the fearless dreamer, the believer in magic. Sometimes, God uses another person's youth to heal the tiredness in your spirit. 2. Because you've grown spiritually enough to handle it. When God aligns you with a younger soul, it's not to test your ego, it's to honor your maturity. He trusts you now. He knows you have walked through pain, loss, and lessons. You no longer chase validation, you understand purpose. You no longer demand control, you allow divine flow. So He sends you someone who might be younger, but whose heart carries lessons they don't yet understand. Lessons you have already lived. You become their teacher, but not in a superior way. You guide them gently, through love and wisdom, and in return, they teach you how to feel again. It's divine balance. One gives knowledge, the other gives energy. One brings calm, the other brings spark. Together, they create harmony, the sacred exchange of souls aligned by God's timing. 3. Because you both have healing missions in each other's lives. When two souls meet, no matter the age, there's always a divine reason. You were not aligned by accident. Maybe you had prayed for peace, and God sent you joy. Maybe you had prayed for closure, and God sent you understanding. Maybe you had prayed to forget the past, and God sent someone who helps you rewrite it. This younger partner comes with innocence, not immaturity, but purity of heart. They see you not for your years, but for your light. They don't care about what you've lost. They fall in love with the person you've become. And through their eyes, you begin to heal the parts of you that age had quietly silenced. You begin to see that life isn't over. It's still beginning, in a new way. Maybe they heal your loneliness. Maybe they remind you how to laugh again. Maybe they simply sit beside you, listening to stories you thought nobody would care about. And suddenly, healing begins softly, divinely, beautifully. Because love doesn't care about numbers, only souls. God never counts years when He writes love stories. He counts prayers, tears, lessons, and timing. The soul has no age. Energy doesn't wrinkle. Love doesn't expire. When two souls are aligned, they recognize each other beyond appearance. There's a knowing, a familiar pull, a silent connection that feels eternal. Sometimes that connection comes in the form of a younger soul who feels like home, because in the spiritual realm, you both are the same age of soul. You've lived many lifetimes. You've both met before, not in this body, but in another time, another space. That's why the connection feels so deep, so instant, so unexplainable. When God aligns such souls, logic fades, love takes over. 5. Because you needed to learn unconditional love. A younger partner can't always give you the security of sameness, but they can teach you the purity of unconditional love. They may think differently, move faster, or live lighter, and yet you find peace in their presence. You begin to understand love not as possession, but as presence. Not as control, but as connection. You stop worrying about what people will say. You stop explaining your bond to the world. You start living the truth that love is between souls, not ages. Because real love, divine love, doesn't fit into society's expectations. It fits into God's plan. And when God aligns you with a younger soul, it's not to make you feel smaller, but to make your heart grow wider. More accepting, more forgiving, more divine. 6. Because God wants to rewrite your definition of love. Maybe your past relationships made you believe love had to hurt to be real. Maybe you thought love always came with compromise, silence, or emotional exhaustion. But this time, God is rewriting your story. He's showing you that love can be playful and peaceful at the same time. That it can come with laughter instead of tears, softness instead of struggle. This person may surprise you. They may love you without fear, without overthinking, without the emotional walls adults build over the years. And that simplicity, that innocence, is sacred, because God uses their youth to remind you what love was meant to be. Not dramatic, not painful, not possessive, but healing, pure, and free. 7. Because it's a mirror of divine timing. Everything about this alignment is intentional. God doesn't make mistakes in His timing. If a younger person walks into your life and your souls connect, don't run away out of fear. Sit with it, feel it, pray on it. Sometimes what you think is too soon or too strange is actually divine precision. You were meant to meet exactly when you did because both of you were ready. Ready to teach, ready to learn, ready to heal, ready to love again. God's alignments are never late. They're always right on time, even if they don't make sense to the world. 8. Because your soul deserves to feel loved again. You've carried others for years. Their pain, their problems, their expectations. You've been strong, wise, and giving. But now, God says, you deserve to receive. You deserve to smile again. You deserve to be chosen without conditions. This younger soul is not your reward for age. They're your reward for faith. They come as a reminder. You are not too old to be loved. You are not too late for happiness. You are not done, you are becoming. And maybe that's why God aligned you both. Because love, in its truest form, doesn't look at birth years. It looks at soul years. 9. When you let go of judgment, you let in blessings. Sometimes people around you won't understand. They'll judge. They'll question. They'll whisper. But let them. Because what God has aligned, no opinion can destroy. You don't owe explanations for a connection that came from heaven. You don't need approval for a love that heals you. When two hearts recognize each other through grace, that's enough. So let go of fear. Let go of labels. Let go of what the world thinks. Because when God writes your love story, He uses ink made of destiny, not public opinion. 10. You are proof that love is timeless. If you're listening to this, maybe you felt a pull towards someone younger, and your mind is fighting it. But your heart knows. It recognizes something beyond logic. Maybe they came to stay. Maybe they came to teach. Maybe they came to awaken your sleeping joy. Whatever the reason, it's divine. You are not too old. You are not out of time. You are right on schedule, God's schedule. He's aligning you with someone whose presence will make you feel seen, heard, and cherished again. Someone who looks at you and sees your soul, not your age. Because when God writes the script, it's always beautiful, and it always makes sense eventually. Final message. So, if God is aligning you with someone younger, don't question it too much. Pray about it. Feel it in your soul. If there is peace, that's your sign. Because love is not about who fits your age. It's about who fits your energy. It's about who your soul recognizes. Sometimes, God sends a younger soul not to replace your past, but to rewrite your future. To remind you that you are still worthy of passion, joy, and divine love. And to whisper softly, you are not too late. You are right on time. If you're curious about the hidden truths of the mind and heart, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon, so you never miss a fact that could change the way you see life.